Well, howdy folks, welcome to Mower Mike's. Today I'm going to show you how to drain and refill the transmission fluid on your riding lawnmower. This video is going to be specific to riding lawnmowers, the one with the steering wheels. Now, with all you that have the fancy Zeroturns, don't you worry, because I got every video you will ever need on changing the hydro gear transmission fluid on Zeroturns. I'll put links down below. Zeroturns have hydro gear transmissions. The regular riding lawnmowers have what you call a Tuff Torq transmission, different variations of essentially the same bones of a transmission. What we've got here is a Tuff Torq K58. Most riding lawnmowers are going to have a Tuff Torq K46. They function the exact same way. They have the exact same ports and everything. So the method is going to be the same in this video. Now, first thing you'll notice is that I have the transmission removed from the lawnmower. For simplicity, most of you are going to want to do that because in order to change everything in it, you need to flip it upside down and drain it. I will have separate videos down below on how to remove said transmission from your lawnmower and reinstall it. But for those of you who do not want to remove a transmission, because it is a bit of a challenge, if you see my cluster of a transmission removal video, we are going to test a different method with a hand pump to see how much fluid can we pump out the back of this transmission out of the vent hole in order to change it without actually dropping it. Because if you can do that, it'll save us a lot of time. So we'll do a test where I'm going to pump out as much as possible out of the transmission, which will show you how much you could pump out if you left it inside the tractor. And then we're going to flip it upside down with the old bucket method and see how much fluid is left. So just a little test-a-rooski for those of you who do not want to remove the transmission. So with that, let's go ahead and zoom in on this old beauty and start working on it and getting the fluid out. Stay with me. We are looking down at the Tuff Torq transmission, and the first thing I want to do is a little test, because you can access this here. This is the vent plug in the transmission, and then you've got your main plug over here, which is harder to get to. But while it is installed in the lawnmower, you can access the vent plug from the back usually. So what I like to do is see, can we shove something down here, suck the fluid out? That way you do not have to replace the transmission. I do not know if we can do it, but I got this super cool pump, and we're going to shove a hose down there. Now the first thing you'll notice when you get the hose, I'll put a link down below to this pump. It works really good. Is a bit of a small hole, as they say. So what I'm using here, this is a piece of 3/8 inch nylon line used for pneumatic brakes. And what it does, you can shove that in there, and then we can shove it down in here. And what you want to do, you want to shove it as deep as you can go. You can see it's not going very deep, so I don't think this thing's going to work out too well. But all right, so we've got it here. We're going to go ahead and measure how much fluid I get out. Ooh, that is some nasty looking stuff. But you can see we're full on pumping right now. Look at that. We're getting some fluid out of her. It definitely is time to change her. Now this K58 transmission holds about 2.5 quarts. Your usual K46 will hold 2.3 quarts. All right, and she is dry. Now looking at it here, how much we got? We get about 3 cups, so just underneath a quart. You know, your problem is that there's so much crap in the way when you shove it down in here, different gears and whatnot, you can't get it deep enough. So I think what this proves is that in order to really change out the transmission fluid, you just have to pull it from the lawnmower unless you have drain plugs. So what I'm going to do next is we're going to flip this thing upside down. I'll show you where the drain plugs might actually be, and then I'm going to show you how to drain the transmission fluid, because you want to check for drain plugs first. And to sum this up, we got 3 cups out of here of just sludge, so I'm really curious what comes out of her. Stay with me. All right, let's stop messing around and get this fluid out of the transmission. Now, when you're looking down at it, no matter which one you've got, you're going to have 2 main ports. You're going to have a vent port here, and then you've got your big port right here, which is the main plug. So we need to get this guy out because you really want to fill it and empty it from this one. In order to get that out, we need to remove the fan and the pulley. Now, most of them for the K46, you're gonna have a snap ring on there, which is gonna have a couple little holes. You're gonna need some snap ring pliers. The best snap ring pliers are the channel locks. You've got different attachments that go on here, different settings. These things are just sweet. I'll put a link down below. They're about 30 bucks. But for me, I've actually got a lock nut. So that's gonna make it super easy. So I'm just gonna get a 5/8 on there with my big boy, the XR, put her in full reverse, and then it just pops off. Now try to keep everything straight so you don't lose anything. And then, hey, I actually got lucky. It was not rusted on there. All right, so now you're gonna have full view of your little clippy. I mean, of the rubber piece. Now these things can be a bear to get out. And I am 90% sure that I am going to end up ripping this thing. So you're in luck. Amazon has replacement ones. I'll put links down below in the video description. I've already got mine on order. So let's see. This thing is gonna take a little bit more coaxing to get off here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna grab some pliers and something a little more serious. See if I can get this sucker up underneath here. Oh boy, yeah, this thing is definitely gonna break. Sorry about the wiggle waggle. There it goes. There she goes. All right, and see it did pop off, but I've got some pretty serious damage to it. So thankfully I've got a new one coming in. But you can see right there, now we have access to what's underneath there. And if you pull this guy out, this here is a little magnet, so it's super cool. So you could take this out and clean it, and you'll get some of the gunk off. But ooh, you see, golly, it looks like charcoal. So we'll go ahead and clean this, and then we're gonna drain out the fluid. Now, if you're watching the short video, I'm not gonna take the bottom off for the shorter video, but I am gonna make a longer video that we're gonna take the bottom off, because really there's 3 more of these guys in here along with another filter that's really good to clean out if you already have it off. So stay with me and we'll get this fluid out. All right, y'all ready to start having some real messy fun? Now we're going to drain the fluid out of the transmission. My method I'm going to take is first remove both of the plugs, and then I'm gonna flip it inverted onto this 5-gallon bucket because it should fit just about right in this 5-gallon bucket and hold it. Will it work? I don't know. I saw it on YouTube on old Terrell showed him doing this, so let's see if it'll work. All right, now usually I make a mess anytime I do anything like this. Oh shit. All right, you can see we're going down, boom. Look at that. All right, we finally get to the step where we can fill our transmission back up with oil. And we're gonna start with every man's favorite topic to bitch about on the internet. I mean, there's millions of posts. What type of oil do I use? Well, clean oil, I think, is the most important. But what type of oil? I'm gonna give you what I think, and remember, this is just free advice on YouTube, so take it for what it is. These Tuff Torq transmissions or hydro gear transmissions on your Zeroturn, can you run them with motor oil? 5W30, conventional synthetic, 10W30, absolutely you can. They will work great with motor oil, but I do suggest getting a hydrostatic gear transmission oil that is specific for these units. Why do I say that? Because your regular motor oil does have the additives, but your motors, your engine is meant to run at much higher temperatures than these will ever get to, which means those additives in your engine oil, they don't actually release and actually do their job until they reach higher temperatures. The hydrostatic gear specific transmission oils will release those additives at a much lower temperature and have better life in your transmission. So what type? Now there are a few out there. There is a Tuff Torq transmission oil that is from Tuff Torq. It's kind of pricey. You can buy it on Amazon. I will put it down below. That is what the manufacturer recommends. Or you can use a John Deere transmission oil J20C. And that is a very good oil. It's actually pretty cheap, about 40 bucks on Amazon. I'll put a link down below. But what is Mower Mike gonna use? I am a big believer in the AMSOIL hydrostatic gear transmission fluid. I have used these in Zeroturns and it works fantastic. So this is a 20W50 specific for hydro gear transmissions, and it works great. I've never used it in an actual riding lawnmower, but I think it's going to work great. It is a 20W50. It's a little heavier, but that's what I'm going with. I'll put links to all of these options down below, so make your own choice. Now, when you fill this transmission with oil, the level is very, very important. We're going to go through the main cap here, and you want to do right at 0.8 inches down below the cap line. That way you have that magnet sitting in that oil sucking up all the crap. And it is recommended that you fill it through the big cap. Now, can you fill it through the little vent tube? Yes, you can. But remember, these are two separate areas in the transmission. It will take longer. You want to make sure it seeps into the main transmission. How much oil are you going to use? This one's a K58. It takes 2.4 quarts. Most of you are rocking the K46. That's 2.2 quarts. So just make sure to get a 3-quart bundle and you'll be good to go. So with all that rambling about oil, let's go ahead and zoom in and we will fill her up and see what it looks like. All right, kids, let's get the filling. Now, we're going to fill it through the big fat cap first. And before you start, it's always a good idea to measure how much oil you're going to put in there just so you get a feel for it. You can see here on the hydro gear transmission fluid I'm using, we're going to try to get down to here. That'll be about 2.4 quarts. So we will see how much goes in there. And hopefully I won't make a mess like I have been doing. Gulp, 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 gulp. All right. Now, one thing you're going to have to remember, once we fill it up, you will need to purge the system, and we will go through that process after I do this and we get this thing back together. Don't just go thinking you're good to go. All right, we're kind of slowing down a little bit. This is some thick stuff, yo. All right, see, we got a little blockage in the system. Is that thing already? Uh-oh. All right, it is slowly going in there, I think, or it's just spilling over the side. Interesting. Now, what I've done to measure the height of the oil, I've gone ahead and measured a couple of things on here. So we're going to dip this in there. This is 0.8, this is 1.5. Let's see. All right, it is going in there still, kind of slowly. You may have to pull up your funnel a little bit because as you can see, it goes into the side. There's a little side thing there. All right. I know this is riveting YouTubing. Dang. So that thing, we're at 2 quarts. Obviously I spilled quite a bit, so we're gonna go below the line. All right. So let me go ahead and do a little test here. Yeah, we need some more there, folks. She is a little thirstier than I thought. All right. Looks like we are about there. Let me go ahead and do my little test, and we're going to zoom in, so strap in. All right. Let's see. You can see right there, I filled it up, and then it goes into the little expansion stake on the side, so when it starts puking a little bit, let's see. You can see we are just about right. And then I did this one for the overfill tank. Let's see how much is in there. It's leaning a little bit. So we've probably got a little more fluid than necessary, but technically this is the right amount of fluid. All right, we have got her topped off. Next, we're gonna go ahead and install the caps and the fan and get her ready for the big dance. Now, don't forget your magnet. Make sure you got it cleaned up. The little thing goes on there. They're not connected. It's just a magnetical situation, and it drops in there. This is actually a really cool design. They should put that on cars or something. So we got that, and then you've got your caps. Now, if you're like me and you totally destroyed the caps, getting them off, as you can see, they do sell new caps on Amazon. It's 20 bucks. Comes with a kit. Comes with both caps. It's pretty cool. So you're going to slide that one there, and then the actual vent cap goes there. And this sucker, it's tight. So go ahead, you might need a little persuasion, as we say. There we go. And give that guy a little taparooski. All right, so we got those on there. And then next, what you want to do, you go ahead and install your pulley. And when you install a pulley, it's got that little nut on the top. That goes up top, like so. Then you take your fan with that part, goes down there. You can see that slides over said nut. That way we get a good, and then you got a washer. And then you got this thing here, slides over there. And I've got a lock nut. Now some of y'all are gonna have that C-clip thingy, but for me, it's the nut, and we're gonna go ahead and zip it down. Now, how much torque to put on this? I have no idea, but you can Google it. Whoa, get ready, boy. You better hang on to that bastard. That feels tight to me. I'm just tired of looking online for torque specs. All right, she is buttoned up and ready. Now next, I'm going to install this transmission in the lawnmower, which will be a separate video I'm gonna put below. But for those of you watching the transmission fluid change videos, I'm gonna go ahead and skip forward to how we're going to bleed it with it on the lawnmower. Now, can you bleed this thing on here? There's probably a way. When you bleed it, you're just turning this guy, and I'm sure you can find something online, but that's not how I do it. I'm gonna bleed it with it on the lawnmower. So enough rambling. I'm going to try to wrestle this thing back on the lawnmower. Hopefully it goes better than my removal video, so stay with me. All right, gang, this is just gonna be a quick hit on how to bleed your Tuff Torq transmission on pretty much any riding lawnmower you've got. You've got to bleed your transmission anytime you remove the fluid or do any messing around with the transmission, because what happens is you get little air bubbles in that transmission, and you've got to bleed it out to remove the air bubbles, because there's little tiny cylinders in there that kind of get air in there, and you don't want air in it or it won't work. Now, to bleed it, you can't have weight on the wheels because the wheels have to be free spinning. Now, there are ways to do this while it's on the bench. I don't know how to do that. The way I always do it is you essentially want to jack up the rear of the transmission, make sure the front end is steady. As you see here, I've got jack stands on it, and it's super simple. All you do is you run it. So we're going to start it, and I just go forward and backward and forward and backward. And as you're going to see, it's going to start real rough, is my theory, and then it's slowly going to get more power. So let's go ahead and start her up. We'll go forward. Yep. Forward. Third. Come on. Okay, it's going faster, faster. Fuck! Get this thing out of here. All right, folks, that worked great. As you saw, as it went going, it got a little more power, a little more power. Just keep bleeding it. One point of advice: don't bleed, don't run your lawnmower in a closed garage, because I could die. I've got to get out of here, so this video's over. Catch you next time.